Good
Good
afternoon,
friends of
Portland
Portland
Cocktail Week. It is another beautiful and marvelous Monday. So Ketel One's Marvelous Mondays are a virtual industry series that provides a platform for bartenders to share their craft and expertise with other bartenders through live stream demos. My name is Fanny Chu, and this is my co-host with the mostest, Amy Ward. How's it going in Chicago, Amy?
Hi, Fanny. How are you doing? I'm actually coming to you from Baltimore today, but it's going great here. I went home for a little bit to safely distance and see friends and family. But today I'm super, super excited and absolutely delighted today to introduce my very dear friend, Mary Palac. Mary is a highly regarded and accomplished bartender who loves cocktails, books, and fried chicken. She hails from San Jose, California by way of the Philippines and is the fastest bartender I know and probably one of the best trainers I know getting people up to her speed. Mary won Speed Rack California Season 7 and is currently the undefeated champion for Barmania. She is also the founder and president of the USBG Silicon Valley. She was the first bartender to ever receive a commendation from the city of San Jose and is pretty rad all around. Mary has been outspoken in advocating for underrepresented populations in our industry, especially Asian American, Pacific Islanders, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and the bartending community of San Jose as a whole. So I want to welcome Mary and thank you for being here with us today.
Yay, Mary.
Hi, everyone. It was really lovely to spend some time with y'all today. Technical difficulties aside, but yeah, like Amy was mentioning, a lot of my time has been spent working in high volume bars, like the one I'm currently sitting in right now, as well as the speed competitions that I've been lucky to be a part of. And it didn't just happen naturally. It took a lot of planning and preparation, and hopefully you get some of that today. All right, y'all, so sorry for the delay, everybody. This is Mary Palac. You can hear my voice. That's me in that picture right there. The idea for today's talk is to go over how to be efficient in your movements, how to set up your well, how to kind of think ahead of time so that when you're executing your drinks, it's easy breezy and everything's moving really smooth and efficiently. A little bit about me for those who don't know me, who are just joining in. I work in a high volume cocktail bar. It's 250 capacity, where we have a seasonal cocktail program that changes the menu twice a year. I've also I've been lucky enough to participate in some really cool cocktail competitions, namely Speed Rack and Barmania, and have been fortunate enough to have won said competitions. But that took a lot of preparation. It didn't just happen. I'm not just blessed with speed. It's actually, it took a long time to calculate my movements. So that's kind of the theme of today. What we'll go over, I'm gonna kind of go through the deck a little bit quicker since we lost a little bit of time because of tech stuff, but we're gonna go over what mise en place means, why it's just as important now in our current industry with the way we're changing up our service models. We're gonna look at some recipes, a really simple, easy ginger recipe that is really adaptable to whatever fresh produce that you guys have around in your areas. Then we're gonna talk a lot about preparation and how we set up for success, both from a physical standpoint, like where we're setting up our well, making sure that everything's in the right location. We're making sure that we can reach, everything's within an arm's reach. And then also from a mental preparation, by building good habits and using repetition, being able to summon a game plan really quickly. And then I'm going to do a quick demonstration where I actually build a round of 4 drinks. So yeah, let's get going. Oh, Brittany Leach, I love you too. Awesome. Okay, so I know this phrase mise en place used to be overused a lot. I think early on in my bartending career, people would say it all the time: mise en place, everything in its place. But that idea is still super important. There's there's a lot of big changes going around right now, obviously, with different states and different bars reopening and changing their service strategies to accommodate extra duties. I know as bartenders, we're going to have, on top of executing drinks and service, sanitation duties, making sure that we're keeping everything clean and hygienic. So we really can't afford to waste time when things are out of place. The service well is going to be as important as ever. Things are going to go more towards like a no touch or a table service kind of thing, where people are not necessarily going to be able to sit at your bar. So being able to be organized so you can execute service well tickets quickly is going to be super important. Also, we're entering this new phase where we are essentially rebuilding a trust between ourselves and our guests. So being able to be confident in your space, making sure your space is tight and clean, that shows that helps build the trust with guests who have been for months now, you know, concerned with cleanliness and sanitation and things like that. So I think it's really important, even more now than ever, to keep that organization, and what I like to say, always be wiping your face. And to me, the face is the extension of the bar. Oh, thanks, Amy. Cool. So this is a really simple ginger recipe that I'm not taking credit for. This is from Morgenthaler's Bar Book, and I totally stole that recipe from there. But this is actually the recipe that we use in our bar because it's super simple and it's super easy and adaptable for everything. It's equal parts by weight. You throw it in a blender, you strain off the solids, and you have this really delicious, spicy ginger beer. And this is the basic mule that we'll be making. And then I'm going to keep the same base, but change up the produce into 3 different drinks. So we have a variation that's like the crowd pleaser. It's summer right now. It's summer in California. Strawberries are at peak season right now. So I thought, why not throw some strawberry mint in there? This is going to be absolutely like a crushable patio drinker. I know a lot of bars are open now for patio service. And then I have a little bit more of like a slightly spiced citrusy variation with fresh cracked pink peppercorn and a little bit of grapefruit. Then we have something that's a little bit more herbal. I love using Asian ingredients. Thai basil, it reminds me of pho, and it adds more of this aromatic, slightly almost savory element to the drink. And again, just like really good for the season right now, being outdoors and that kind of thing. And if you don't have access to like a really great Asian market, you know, you can use regular basil or whatever you might find, or whatever really awesome herbs you have at your local grocery store. But if you do have an Asian market, I highly recommend just getting lost in it and exploring what kind of produce and herbs that you might find. I think that's one of the really one of the awesome like benefits of a Moscow Mule. It's so adaptable, and ginger works with a lot of different flavors. So that's usually my first step in preparation. Like when we get a new menu, is I'll take all the recipes, I'll learn them by heart. And then I will always ask our managers, whoever's setting up our stations, to send me pictures of the rail and to send me pictures of what our coolers are going to look like, and send me pictures, or I'll go do it myself. Like if I'm there on reset day, I'll take a look at what the well setup is, and I'll take pictures and I'll take that home and I'll learn to memorize it. This is a map that I drew up for this particular round of drinks that I'm going to be making. This is the actual well that we have at our bar. And it was actually, funny enough, it was designed to be a service well. In the 6 years we've been open, we never used it as a service well, but that's likely going to change. So I think that like the way it's set up, how I have 2 sides to reach for things at all time. This makes sense for me as a right-handed person. My jigger's on my left side. My rinser's on my right side. Like the way I'm going to grab things, hopefully, is to limit me crossing my body as much as possible. I think that this is the part where you should be spending the majority of your time in terms of preparation, is making sure that your deck, your well, is really set up. For us, we have individual wells. We don't really share our wells unless we're transitioning from an opener to closer. But even then, if you are the kind of establishment where multiple bartenders use the same well, work together to create a plan that's universal. What works for you might not work for all. I had to adjust a lot of my well setup because I'm the shortest bartender at my job. So I had to bring everything in because I don't have the same reach as some of my coworkers. So that was something that I considered. But also I was considerate of, like, say I was on an opening shift and I knew a certain bartender was coming into this specific well. In this case, it's my bar manager, Ryan, would always take this well. I know what his setup is. So I adjusted where I placed my tins and my mixing glasses so that when transition came, it was a really easy transition where it was just like one or two few quick changes, and then he was already set up for success. So I think it's really important to work with your teams, to work with your management, to figure out how your setup works for you. Like if you notice like little things, like my fruit bowl's to the left of my cutting board because I am right-handed. So I'm gonna grab my fruit with my left hand. I'm gonna use my knife with my right hand. Same, like my straws are on my right side and my garnishes are on my left side because I wanna be able to grab my straws and my garnishes at the same time. My fine strainers and my regular strainers are hanging on opposite sides so I can grab them both at the same time. Things like that, where you can always be using both hands at all times. If you haven't worked with your non-dominant side, I highly suggest just starting to train that. And even if you don't free pour or anything like that, really start doing things with your left or whatever non-dominant hand you have, and use that. Do little things like picking up ice scoop with your non-dominant hand to figure out how to work with it if you're not used to like utilizing that side. That's a whole half of your body that you could be using.
Hey, Mary, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I feel like you should be able to hear this across the things. Have you trained many southpaws in your life?
So
Mary, can you repeat the question?
Yes. So Amy just asked me a question if I've trained many southpaws in my life, and I have recently, in the past couple of years, trained one, and that I actually found that to be an interesting like switch up, because I would show him a movement and then I realized it was the opposite for him, but I was also teaching him to use both hands anyway. So the only change up was which hand he used to pour and which hand he used to hold his jigger. But everything else in terms of his movement and how he grabbed, it was always using both hands. So it really didn't affect as much, except for those instances of which hand was holding the bottle. Now, that's also because of the way we have our setup too, is that everything's reachable from both sides. But yeah, it was less focused on which hand was dominant, and it was more focused on using both hands at all times if applicable. So it wasn't so hard to translate.
Nice.
Awesome. Cool. So once you've had the time to set up your deck completely, kind of like make sure everything, and this is like, to me, this is my mise en place, right? This is like everything is set in exactly where it needs to be. And then as I work through my drinks, I return it back to that so that it's ready to go for the next round. The next part, I call summoning a game plan. And summoning a game plan is this is like my mise en place. Oops, sorry. This seems a little bit extra, but if you've ever prepared for like a speed competition or anything like that, this is actually like what you do, like for speed rack. I would write out every movement. Not everybody does this. This is just how my brain works. And I'm not suggesting that for every round you got to write out a game plan. The idea behind this is that you should be able, when someone calls out a round or orders a round of drinks from you, or you get your service ticket, you should be able to summon how you're going to build that round within seconds. And the way you do that is through the repetition and consistency of your builds. So I build every single drink the same way. I'm always going to start with like whatever herbs, fruit, that I need to get in there first. Then I'm always going to do my citrus next. Then I'm going to do any syrups or modifiers that I need to add in there. Then I'm going to do my main spirits. Then I'm going to ice everything down. I do that for every single drink that I build. I build that in the exact same way. So even if I didn't have this very like geeky map in front of me when someone calls out these 4 drinks to me, I know that this is going to be how I build that drink, those drinks, how I build that round, because that's just how I build every single round. And it's one of those things where, like back in the day, when a guest might ask, you know, how long did it take you to learn all this? I always answered 12 years. I've been bartending for 12 years. And that's how long it took me to get to where I'm at, to be able to move and to be able to execute the way I do, because I have repeated these same movements and in this same order for so long that I'm able to summon this really efficiently. Now it's going to be a while before we get back to those like 4D like onslaughts where you have to build round after round after round after round, but your service ticket printer is going to be printing like crazy, and that is the same thing, just with less faces in front of you. So being able to like master how you're going to build your rounds really quickly and efficiently is just as important as ever. Okay, so I'm going to step away from this screen. All right, can you see and hear me okay?
Yes.
So now I'm going to actually build a round that I had a little bit of a map on. Leech, if you hear me, can you throw that like a presentation back up on there so that if they wanted to look at it, they can. But you can follow along as I build this actual round. And when I talk about like cross building and things like that, today I'm going to be demonstrating with a jigger because it's for real. It's been 3 months since I've bartended. But I am very much a champion for the free pour. So, and I do believe that the free pour is absolutely as accurate, if not more accurate than jiggers when you are trained to do it well. But it's only effective if you're, again, focusing on ambidexterity and using both hands. So if you can pour a perfect shot just on your dominant hand, but can't do the same on your non-dominant hand, or if you can't pour 2 different measurements on both hands at the same time, it's really not that effective. So it's about training both sides more than it is learning how to count to 6 or 8. Cool. So let's see here. Hopefully I remember the round that I just mapped out for all of you. So I'm going to be making 4 different Moscow Mule variations using Ketel 1 of these. And I'm going to be cross building everything. And like I said, I don't have the map in front of me or anything, but I just know because that's how I build drinks anyways. So always using 2 hands at all time. I'm going to grab some fresh strawberries and mint at the same time. In the same vein, I'm going to grab some pink peppercorn and some Thai basil at the same time. And then I'm building lime juice in all 4. And just because you're in the service well doesn't mean you have to like lose out on your presentation technique. I think keep it fresh. Keep it, if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay, and then we're gonna add grapefruit juice to the pink peppercorn because I want to do all my citrus all at once. We're gonna muddle everything. And I put my knee pedal sink in that map as well to show that it's 1 step for me to rinse to move on to the next drink. And I'm just giving them a quick and gentle press. I'm going to give them a quick and gentle shake in a moment. But again, that quick of a movement that I could grab the muddler with my left hand and rinse it on my right. Super fast, super easy. And we have ginger beer for all three, or ginger syrup, excuse me. And then I kept the specs the same all across the board because the ginger is not incredibly sweet. It's so nice and spicy. I didn't feel it needed a ton of adjustment when adding the fruit to it. And then of course, Ketel One. And this last one's just a regular class in here. Now, I'm gonna grab my glassware, which is on my left side. I'll set down. Two more.
Mary, would you building the round, or would you have it?
Well, sorry, Amy, I couldn't hear you. What was the question?
Sorry, do you normally have your glassware out before you start building?
So because I have the glassware cooler right next to me, I leave it until I've built the entire round. That way it stays as cool as possible. And then when I'm getting ready to, basically, so that when I get ready to ice my drinks down, I'm icing down the glassware too. Can you all hear me over the ice? I think because my microphone on the computer is different. Awesome. Got it. So, and then I'm gonna give them all a quick shake. I'm using Boston's today because we have so much fresh herbs and fruit. And because I'm gonna be topping them with soda anyway, I'm not gonna give them a crazy long shake. Awesome. And I know that there's like a lot of debate over double shaking for some people. And if you're faster, just single shaking every drink, then you're faster. If you're faster double shaking every drink and you feel that the quality of the drink is not being affected by you double shaking, double shake. I like to pour the soda at the same time as I do straining. So I double strain with one hand, pour soda with the other hand, again, paying attention to using both hands at all times. And always important to have enough tools. Our wells are set up so we have roughly enough tools to make at any given point up to like a round of 6, right? And last, the regular. And again, having 2 sides, I'm reaching for straws on my right hand, grabbing my garnishes with my left. In this case, the grapefruit peel. And I think that's what really is the importance of ambidexterity, is making sure that you can use both hands at all times. And that's 4 different Marvelous Mules,
Wow.
all ready to go.
Oh, gorgeous.
Awesome. So if there are any questions, I can't read my screens right now. If anyone wants to shout out anything.
Folks are agreeing with you, free pouring.
Right on. Yeah, for those who are agreeing with the free pour, yes. The thing about that is it is a consistent practice. Like, I didn't feel comfortable doing it today because I haven't been consistently practicing it. But this is after years of pour testing every day. And like, even when I was still training to be a bartender, there was always like a pour check next to like the coffee maker. And anytime I got up and I saw it, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to pour test right now just to make sure. You can download like metronomes and things like that to train yourself. But it's even more importantly than the counting itself, it's the being able to move fluidly with both hands at all times. So, yeah.
Mary, I have a free pouring question for you.
Sure.
I'm just asking my own questions at this point in time. When you're testing yourself and training yourself, do you train like as the volume of the bottle drains to be able to understand how the difference in timing works for that? Or do you have like a method to your madness with how that works?
Yes, to a certain extent, there's two things. I'm paying attention to how much volume is coming out of the bottle as I count. And essentially I'm counting 1 count per quarter ounce. So, and you can even do this, even if you don't have a free pour, like a pour check, you could do this with just like a regular jigger. I was actually practicing my pours over, so I have a practice bottle all ready to go. But if you, from wherever you start with your bottle up and you count to 6 and it hits the 1.5 ounce line, that's how you kind of start to figure out what your internal metronome is. And it's like, people like to shout out numbers like, oh, it's 137 beats per minute, it's 130 beats per minute, it's 126. Everyone is different because our perception is different. So where I start counting is going to be completely different from what someone else starts counting. So my range is between 134 to 137 beats per minute, and each beat being a quarter ounce.
Okay. Find a song with that BPM and start training to it.
I have a whole, Amy just mentioned having like a song at that BPM, and I actually have a whole playlist that when I am training bartenders on a free pour, I'll usually just play it in the background and they won't realize it. Like Beastie Boys' Fight for Your Right to Party is in that realm. A lot of Beyonce and Cardi B songs are in that realm. So, you know, if that helps. So yeah. Is there any other questions? I'm so sorry, y'all. I can't read the comments.
Do you have like certain speed pours that you use or like
yes,
speed pours that you use that help you with it? Because sometimes through time,
yes,
like get wonky. So you have to like test it every time, I guess.
So Fanny just asked if I have a specific speed pour that I use to pre-trade, and this is it. The Spill Stop 285.50. Now what those numbers mean is that it pours 50 milliliters in 2.85 seconds. That's what those numbers mean. There's another one. There's a different speed pour that I'm sure a lot of you who use jiggers are familiar with. It has like the little gonzo nose, and that's actually because that speed pour pours faster. So this is what's set up for 1 beat per quarter ounce kind of situation. But yes, there's another brand that produces something similar to these, but this is the pour spout that I've used like my entire career. So
nice. Thank you.
Yes.
And that's why
awesome sauce.
you're the speed pour.
Awesome. So I'm sorry, y'all, for all of our technical difficulties, but I love every single one of you who are tuning in to watch me make drinks. I'm really actually very happy with this because this is the first round of drinks that I've made in about 3 months.
So thank you for letting me make drinks for y'all. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. If anyone has any other questions or wants me to go like over any of it, because we kind of rushed through the presentation. If you want to shoot me a DM or shoot me a message, and I'll be happy to clarify anything with y'all.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, for sharing your Marvelous Mule knowledge. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Portland Cocktail Week, Another Round, Another Rally, and Ketel One for letting Amy and I host these Marvelous Monday series. Join us next week. We are excited to have McLean Hedges and Mary Allison Wright show us how to master your marvelous martinis. See you next Monday, friends.